2.0. My name is Cindy, and I'll be joined by Elijah, my son. We were just looking, and we didn't know whether we was going to go on tonight, but we want to dive right into what's going on in Newark, New Jersey, with the mayor first casualty to Trump's, one of the elected officials that have actually been arrested. So we want to is this going to be a trend? Are more people going to be arrested in the future? I believe so. So don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And we want to go right to this and see what
As a
they have
bus
to
of
say about
detainees
it.
was entering the security gate of Delaney Hall Detention Center. You see there, Delaney Hall, that's a live picture. DHS says a group of protesters, including two members of U.S. Congress, stormed the gate and broke into the detention
Crazy.
facility. The members, Robert Menendez Jr. and Bonnie Watson Coleman, and multiple protesters are holed up in a guard shack, the first security checkpoint. These members of Congress storming into a detention facility goes beyond bizarre political stunt and puts the safety of our law enforcement agents and the detainees at risk. DHS says members of Congress are not above the law and cannot illegally break into detention facilities. Had these members requested a tour, we would have facilitated a tour of the facility. This is an evolving situation. The allegations by Newark politicians that Delaney does not have the proper permitting is false, they say. We have valid permits, and inspection from plumbing, electricity to fire codes has been cleared. That's a statement in from the Department of Homeland Security. So two of these New Jersey Democrats from the House, Bonnie Watson Coleman and Robert Menendez Jr., are involved in this, as is Mike, the Democratic mayor of Newark, New Jersey, Alina Habba, the interim acting U.S. attorney for New Jersey. She tweets this: the mayor of Newark, Ross Baraka, committed trespass and ignored multiple warnings from Homeland Security investigations to remove himself from the ICE detention center in Newark, New Jersey this afternoon. He has willingly chosen to disregard
I
the
don't know.
law.
What did they
That will
think
not
would
stand in
happen?
this state. He has been
God bless
taken
you,
into
Happy
custody,
Mac.
all caps, no one is above the law, Habba says. So, Mike, what
Gonna
we
be
have right
going
now
down.
confirmed by acting U.S. Attorney Habba is that the mayor of Newark, New Jersey right now has been taken into custody. Now, what we can't confirm right now, we do not know kind of the status of these two members of Congress, Bonnie
Yeah, they're
Watson
going to
Coleman
arrest
and
them
Robert
next.
Menendez Jr. Looks like Congressman Coleman has tweeted this video saying we're at Delaney Hall there. You can see we're taking it full. So this is like DHS says, an evolving situation. Mike, this is of a piece of some of the stories that we have been covering.
Yeah, this is like crazy. I don't know what they think that would happen, but they didn't think that Trump was going to keep his word. Like, they're going to be arrested, and it's amazing that they don't believe so, but it's coming.
There in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, that federal agents arrested that Milwaukee County judge there for facilitating the kind of release and escape of one of these undocumented migrants. Remember, that was a huge story at the time now there in Milwaukee. This, though, in Newark, New Jersey, unfolding right now. We have a live picture outside the Delaney Hall ICE detention facility where, from what we're told, there was some type of protest organized by New Jersey Democrats.
It wasn't a
And it has
protest.
turned somewhat chaotic there and somewhat hairy. And you see there, this is from New Jersey Spotlight News on social media. A new video from the scene. You see some of these HSI agents there. That's Homeland Security Investigations. I believe there is the mayor of Newark, Ross Baraka, and others. This is quite tense. And you see there Congressman Watson Coleman. I'm not sure, I don't see Robert Menendez Jr. For those watching, that is the son of disgraced former U.S. Senator Bob Menendez. He is a House member there in New Jersey, his son Menendez Jr. So this is quite a tense situation, turning somewhat physical.
These are elected
there.
officials.
You just saw him try to push off some of these other federal agents
This is
outside
crazy.
this DHS detention facility. What a video. Wow.
Yeah, so tense there
This is
as they make their
crazy.
way past the gate there and then continue
These are
to go
elected
in, and you see the
officials.
security police trying to stop them from getting past that gate.
So, Mike, what is so interesting, we don't know whether or not these members of Congress and the Democratic mayor of Newark, whether they're, advocating on behalf of an individual or kind of the, system writ large. That's unknown right now. We don't know whether or not they are kind of pleading on behalf or advocating on behalf of an individual in the detention facility itself. But it
They
seems
are,
like, according
yeah,
from the
they're
statement we have from
delusional.
DHS,
This is crazy.
that they had concerns with some of the conditions, Mike, and the facilities themselves at the holding center. And you see there, we have our live picture outside of the Delaney Hall ICE
I don't even
detention
think that
center,
was true.
operated by both ICE and DHS. So, like I said, this is a very evolving situation. And it did look like in one of these live vantage points, we might get some type of press conference. Not sure when.
It looked like that podium was set up there just to the right of the camera, so we'll wait and see on that one. And it reminds a lot of the first President Trump administration. We did see this in the past, where members of Congress would try to go to several different ICE detention centers and go unannounced, of course, and then try to get a look or demand to get inside a look to see what the conditions are like.
Yeah, that's right. It's also somewhat reminiscent in the very early months of the second Trump term.
There's going to be a lot
2.0,
of
we call it
officials
here,
going to begin,
of some of these
starting
Democratic
with the judges.
lawmakers.
They're going to be
standing
arrested.
outside federal buildings in the wake of some of those reported cuts being made to the federal workforce by DOJ. You'll remember just mere months ago, some of these Democratic members of Congress literally tried to kind of storm into the headquarters of
Look
the
at that,
Department of
Delaney Hall.
Education, and they were rebuffed. So you're seeing some of these Democratic lawmakers kind of take matters into their own hands, which is really striking. These are elected officials, these are elected representatives.
Yeah, these are elected
And having
officials.
situations kind of devolve like that is not something you see every day, frankly, Mike.
No, not at all. And here was just some video from right after the big scene that took place with congressional members, and the protest did continue then after that, but it was much more calmer than what it looked like a little bit ago there. So, Andrew,
Really
thanks
got
again
out
for
of
joining us
hand.
on Live Now from Fox, giving us some great insight of this breaking news that will be continued to talk about throughout the day. So again, Andrew, thank you again, and we will see you a little bit later here on Live Now from Fox.
You know what? This is crazy.
All right, everyone. And now,
It really
let's get a
is.
2-minute.
Like, what's going on? Tell me, like, what do you think about what had happened?
Yeah, I think this is all because of Elon.
Elon. Why you say Elon?
He's South African, right?
No, but these are the senators, the people from New Jersey. This is the New Jersey mayor. This is not the story about what Elon doing with the South Africans.
Oh yeah.
This is about.
I was looking it up on my phone and I saw it.
No, this is about what's going on with some of the Democrat leaders, like what they are doing and the way that they are trying to. I don't know what they're trying to do, because the people voted to get the people out. These people that they have in the detention centers are actually people that have committed crimes. They're committed heinous crimes. And I don't know what the point is. Why are they trying to go to the detention facility when they are, like, that's the mayor. He can have a tour. He can request what he wants to request. But why are you putting yourself in a position to be arrested when that's not what the people voted for? Because not every constituent in New Jersey is a Democrat. Trump almost won New Jersey as far as, as a Republican candidate. So to go to the facility, why aren't you doing something about what the people in your city needs? He's the mayor of the city. Why are you there? It's a way to handle this. I think that they had already even given them a tour.
What happened there at the facility that justified arresting the mayor of the city?
This is crazy.
Thanks, Victor, for having me. I'm glad I can be here to actually give viewers the facts. what happened as that these members of Congress, including the
Yeah,
mayor
this
as
just
well,
happened,
and a
Happy
mob
Mac.
of protesters, as there was a bus full of detainees going through the gate,
This
they
is
stormed
crazy.
the gate and actually entered the first security checkpoint. This put law enforcement at risk, and this actually put the detainees as well at risk. If any official, including these members of Congress, want to enter the facility and take a tour, DHS is more than accommodating. But just because you're a member of Congress does not mean you can break the law, trespass, put law enforcement at risk, and storm the detention facility. I have yet to hear anyone on this network actually talk about who is in this detention facility. There are members of MS-13, known terrorists, murderers, child rapists. There are some of the worst in this detention facility, and I'm still very confused why these Democrats are so hell-bent on getting these heinous actors out of this facility.
That's
we
a
have the
good
proper
question.
permitting, and actually, in that press conference, those members of Congress actually noted the great conditions of this facility that our ICE enforcement officers so bravely operate.
So, as you said here today and in your statement, that they stormed the gate and broke into the detention center, according to the statement. Was anybody else arrested other than the mayor of Newark?
There were multiple people arrested. And Victor, I think that we should let viewers know there will likely be more arrests coming. We actually have body camera footage of some of these members of Congress assaulting our ICE enforcement officers, including body slamming a female ICE officer. So we will be showing that to viewers very shortly.
You say a
The
video
American
of
people should
members
know the
of
facts.
Congress body slamming ICE
That's correct.
officials?
That's correct, sir. It's disgusting.
Okay, and so if you have that video, are you suggesting that members of Congress will be arrested who were there yesterday?
This is an ongoing investigation, and that is definitely on the table.
Who has the video?
ICE does, and we will be releasing that very shortly.
Okay.
Wow.
Let's talk about the facility, because what the mayor says, and he's been saying for several days, is that you all don't have the proper permitting, or at least the facility owned by Geo Group, a private company that's contracted with the federal government, does not have the proper permitting, the certificate of occupancy, and there are some violations. To that, you say what?
That is flat out false. That is just political gamesmanship. We have the proper permitting. We've gone through proper inspections. It's a joke. And by the way, he should not. This is a guy who is going and storming an ICE detention facility. He's putting detainees at risk. He's putting law enforcement at risk. He's joined by a mob of people who have said we should end ICE. This is nothing more than political games, and we're not playing.
So there's a member of Congress, LaMonica McIver, who says that she told USA Today that ICE asked the mayor to leave. He did. And from the video that I've seen, when he was taken into custody, he was on public property. He was no longer on the private property of Geo Group. So if he was asked to leave and then he complied, why then take him into custody?
Whether you are a civilian, a mayor, or a member of Congress, if you are storming an ICE detention facility and
I want to address you, James. I don't know if you're living in another country, but this is American news. This is just the news. And this is for breaking news. So this is a news station. So we're just playing what the news is saying. If you have a problem with American news, then you need to address Forbes breaking news. This is what's on American television. So I just want to be clear, because I don't know who you're talking to. Like they said, you're putting your life in danger, spreading these lies. What lie? Like the person, Happy Max, said, what lies? This is the actual news. Well, that's ICE broke the law. So what are you talking about? We're just kind of confused. Who are you referring to? Who are you referring to? They're putting their lives in what? Who? We're confused with your statement. ICE broke the law. Okay. If ICE broke the law, but in America, they're the news, every news program, MSNBC, all the news programs are putting, this is news. We're not newscasters. He's referring to the blonde lady. Oh, But he has to clarify, because that, like, when you say something like that, when you repeat lies, you are spread. Who's repeating lies? Oh, you talking about the news people? Because the only ones been talking have been the newscasters. And if you don't like what's being said, then you need to jump off, because it's on every. This is television. This is all television. So we're not going to have that. We'll see your whole name, James. I don't know what you're talking about. When you repeat lies, you're spreading lies. Nobody has even commented.
Wow, James is say something.
Yeah, no, this dude on here talking about we're spreading that he said when you repeat lies, you are spreading. But he's talking about her talking lies, she's spreading lies. I guess he said she's putting her life in danger. I just want to make sure we're getting this right, that he's not referring to us.
You went quiet now.
Yeah, because look, the only reason why I ain't banned, because we're gonna get your picture. We're gonna find out who you are.
Oh,
This James.
James been here before. He goes against everything we.
No, but he's saying like spreading lies. This is the news. We haven't said one word. This is the news talking.
He does every stream, Mom.
Well, he needs to find another channel, because if you don't want to hear, see, this is called the United States of America. If you don't want to hear it, then you can listen to 1,000 other channels. There are thousands of content creators. This is on MSNBC, CNN, Fox News, Forbes News, The Time, New York, Washington Post. This is everywhere. Everywhere. We're just playing the news. This is the news. Yeah, it's nothing but Satan. God bless you too. It's just amazing. It's just that, I take offense to that. One thing about this channel is called Speak the Truth 2.0. I don't care who it is. If it's true and if it's honest, then if it's not, we're going to speak against it. We're not for anybody entirely, because no one is 100%, or the left or the right. But right now, the left is left. They're all the way out there. The American citizens have voted. They voted to put Trump in office. And you know what he's doing? He's keeping his word. He's doing everything he said to do. And if you don't like what Trump is doing, 4 years from now, you can vote for another president. That's how it works here in this country. We had to put up with Biden opening up the borders, 2 wars.
Or you could move to a different country.
We went through high inflation, economy, men and women sports, abortions, same-sex marriage. We went through transgender, all of it. And nobody protests, nobody said anything. But if you can't handle the news and you can't handle the truth, then you're in the wrong country. Because this is the United States of America. And this is the news. Yeah, I can block him. Yeah, but sometimes, he's coming on here. People want to just, I don't even know why he's coming on here, because maybe you could watch this on your own television. You don't have to come on here if you don't like what's going on.
James.
Yeah, James.
Very emotional.
He's very emotional.
Emotional man. Grown man.
Yeah. Goodbye to him. Yeah, that's enough. It's like we try to, the thing about it, we want people to have an opinion. We don't want to be like the news program. We don't want it to be one-sided and it's only one opinion. We want everybody to have their own opinion. People are for it and people are against it. That's called life. That's what life is. But as far as me and my house, we're for what's doing what's right. And this stuff that they got going on is crazy.
That we will arrest.
Look at this. This is the mayor. And it's a political stunt. He's running for governor.
As will the other protesters, some of which were arrested.
You're going to put yourself in harm's way, but you're not taking care of your citizens in your city.
I want to ask you
It's
about
ridiculous.
reporting that the president is in conversations
Yeah, 77 million
suspending
people.
habeas corpus, one's right to challenge their detention in court. What would be the purpose of that when the Constitution says that there are very rare opportunities?
America had every
for this
opportunity to
happen only
vote.
when there
If
is
you didn't
an
exercise
invasion,
your if you didn't exercise your right to vote, then that was on you. We had illegal immigrants voting in our elections. So that's up to the individuals. But the majority of people who voted for him to be president. And when you don't vote, that is a vote for Trump, because it still matters. It's on them.
Would that be necessary at this point? We can put up here this section 9 of Article 1. The privilege of the writ of habeas corpus shall not be suspended unless within cases of rebellion or invasion, the public safety may require it.
Victor, I'm not going to get ahead of the president. I'm not going to get ahead of Secretary Noem. When they have an announcement to make, they will make it. But I am looking forward to your interview with the mayor. I wonder what he'll say about the body camera footage of some of his colleagues assaulting law enforcement agents. I wonder if he thinks that they should be held accountable, because they will be.
This is going to get really ugly, because the things that are going on, they're not going to tolerate it.
Go straight to Border Czar Tom Hallman. Tom, thank you so much for being here. You know, just watching that body cam video, absolutely incredible to see that that went down. And before we get to it, I'd like you to also hear what the Newark mayor had to say, also in his defense.
He's New Jersey.
We ask them to obey our laws, to obey the policies and rules here in the city and the state of New Jersey, not to run roughshod over the Constitution of the United States, the Bill of Rights, the 4th, the 5th, the 14th Amendment. That everybody on this soil deserves due process.
Tom, he's saying they're the good guys here.
Well, look, you're not very smart. I mean, bottom line is, that's what the facility's all about. This facility's about due process. This facility is where we put illegal aliens, people in the country illegally, first of all. If they're in the country illegally, they're being detained. And they're screaming and yelling about due process, 14, and all this in the Constitution. This is where due process happens. We have to detain them to go through the due process of, sometimes seeing a judge, sometimes they already have final orders. It's ranging removal to their countries, to getting travel docs to their countries, and making sure all the administrative processes are followed. So this is exactly what a facility means. And I'll tell you this, I can guarantee you this facility has higher detention standards than any New Jersey facility. This facility has highest detention standards in the industry. You could compare that to any jail in New Jersey, and you'd be shocked how high these detention standards are.
You know, you have members of Congress there as well, and they're arguing that this was a matter of oversight. I want you to listen to what Congressman Robert Menendez Jr. said yesterday.
We're there to conduct oversight. It's a newly opened facility. They want to spin people. This is exactly what they've done their entire administration. They talk about criminals. They're separating families.
Conducting oversight in this manner. Tom.
There's not the proper way to do it. There's a proper way to conduct oversight. There's a way to make appointments, go in this facility. You don't break into the facility when a bus full of criminals are being brought into the facility. This is about the safety and security of the employees. This is about the safety and security of the illegal aliens. And it's about the safety and security of the public. You just don't make an entry like that. You don't make an unauthorized entry while they're moving a bus of criminals in the facility. There's a right way and wrong way to do it. Look, I've said from day one, you cannot support ICE. You can go ahead and support sanctuary cities, but you can't cross that line. You can't cross the line of impediment. You can't cross the line of knowingly harboring, concealing an illegal alien. You certainly can't trespass in a facility that's contracted by the U.S. government to house criminals. That'd be like breaking into a state prison, not going through the proper protocols. This creates a huge safety crisis, and these elected politicians know that. This isn't about due process. This isn't about constitutional rights. This is about politics. They simply don't want these people removed from this country. They don't want immigration enforcement in this country. And that's what it's all about. They can try to hide all they want with these protests around the facility, but we're going to continue to do what we're doing. That facility's got some of the worst of the worst. We're keeping President Trump's promise to the American people that elected him for the sole reason of securing the border and removing these public safety threats from the communities. That's exactly what they're going to do. They can stand out and scream all they want. They can trespass, they'll be arrested. If they impede, they'll be arrested. If they knowingly harbor and conceal, they'll be arrested. We're going to do this job for the American people.
Well, they got the news cameras out there, which I'm sure was part of the goal. Meanwhile, the administration is facing more legal roadblocks over plans to expel illegal immigrants from the country. A U.S. judge ruled this week that deportation flights to Libya would violate a court order a day after reports surfaced that the administration was preparing to do just that. How are you handling these rulings?
Well, it's ridiculous. You got district court judges, district court judges putting in nationwide injunctions against us doing our job. I mean, again, it isn't about the rule of law. It's you got these, these outrageous judges trying to stop us from doing what the American people want us to do. We're simply enforcing the laws on the books. We're enforcing laws that acted by Congress. Unlike the last administration, who not only ignored the law, they actively violated the law when they allowed millions of people and abuse of the parole program come to the United States. We are enforcing laws that Congress enacted, including the Alien Enemies Act. That was a law enacted by Congress. They wrote that law. The president signed that law. We're using the laws on the books to remove the worst of the worst as fast as we can. And we got these outlandish judges throughout the country that are simply trying to stop us, putting roadblocks up. But again, when it gets to a higher court, we'll win this because we're simply enforcing the laws on the books. They're just trying to slow us down, but we're going to keep moving forward.
You know, I only have a few seconds left, but finally, ABC reported this week that the DOJ is investigating the 2022 traffic stop of Kilmar Obrego Garcia. Apparently, he's accused of acting as a taxi service for a convicted felon transporting illegal migrants across the United States. Are you familiar with that report, and what are the next steps for the administration in this case?
Well, look, it's being totally investigated by HSI and FBI, but when you talk about trafficking, who is he trafficking, right? We need to see, is he trafficking just illegal labor? Or is he trafficking people that are being forced labor? Is he trafficking in women and children who are being sex slavery? I mean, is he trafficking on no suspected terrorists? We don't know. That's why we're going to investigate this. We know he's involved. We got to find out exactly what organization he was involved with. We know he's associated with the TDA. But when it comes to trafficking, they can traffic anybody from some illegal alien looking for a better life to an unknown terrorist that's come to this country to do us harm. That's why this needs to be investigated right to the fullest extent.
Tom Holman, we appreciate so much you being with us on this Saturday morning. Thank you. Good to see you.
I don't know. It's like they had already arrested 2 judges. What was it, Dugan and a judge from New Mexico. And I don't understand why are the judges and the politicians, why aren't you focusing on the American citizens, your constituents that elected you or put you into office? It's just mind-boggling that they are using these different incidences for their political gain. This is not for the people. If they were honestly doing something for the people and they really care, they don't care about the immigrants. They care about votes. It's all about votes. It's all about power. It's all about money. They couldn't care. They don't even care about American citizens. The American citizens are last on the list. They care about the votes. Right now, Mayor Ross, he's running for governor, I believe they said, of New Jersey. So there's always an agenda. So he's doing this just like Van Hollen when he went to El Salvador. It's not like they care about Garcia. They care about votes. They figure we can go over to El Salvador, talk that president or President Trump into sending him back to America, then they have a victory. That's the way that they can legalize the illegal immigrants, and then that's a whole new voting block for them. So it's always about power. It's always going to be about money. And this is like his response, I guess, to what was going on. Like he said, how he was treated like at the detention center and so forth. Let me see, want to get him on.
That's Baraka with us now. Mr. Mayor, your reaction to what you heard?
I am shocked by all of the lies that was just told there. It was incredible. There was
Newark
no bus
mayor
of detainees there at all. Nobody stormed the place. The only storming happened is when that we all know when those guys stormed the Capitol and was arrested for what they did and were released. The congressmen were invited there. They invited me there for a press conference. There was no storming. There was none of the stuff she's talking about has ever happened. Nobody else was arrested but me. I was the only person taken into custody. Nobody else was arrested. There, no protesters, not me, no one. I mean, other than me, that's it. I was the only person arrested. And I was allowed to leave the facility, first invited in, then allowed to leave the facility. Then they came out of the facility and arrested me on the sidewalk or in the driveway, sidewalk part of it. So everything that she said was a complete and total lie. I think these people believe if they lie long enough that people will believe what they're saying. It's impossible
That's
to
the
hear what these people
Democrats.
are talking about and you know, keep some level of civility, because I mean they just lie on and on and on and over and over and over again. It's impossible.
What is your reaction to what, at least to me, is a new accusation that there were members of Congress who body slammed ICE officers, and that there's video of that coming and potentially charges coming?
That's ridiculous. I'm waiting for them to show a video. I mean, you had two an older woman congressman, Congresswoman Bonnie Watson Coleman, who probably couldn't lift any of them.
She's 80 years old.
Right, Congresswoman McIver and Congressman Menendez. None of those people body slammed any officer. If you see somebody falling in the video, it's an ICE officer throwing one of the people who was observing down to the ground. No ICE officers were body slammed at all. And I just want to tell you, the Homeland Security, when I was in custody, treated me well, with respect, with dignity. Those officers, treated me with respect. I mean, it's shocking and surprising that these people will come out and start saying the things that they're saying is completely untrue. I mean, there's nothing close to the truth of what she said.
Lena Haba, who is the U.S. Attorney for New Jersey, when she posted this, she said that she accused you of committing trespassing. Do you face a trespassing charge this morning?
Yeah, I do. Trespass, which I think is silly, is a Class C misdemeanor. I was not trespassing at all. I mean, we're in court, so we'll argue that in the court, which is the same thing we're arguing about this, the certificate of occupancy. It's a court matter, not an ICE matter, not a GO matter. The court decides that, not them. So at the end of the day, they're charging me with trespassing. I don't know how, but the video, if they have it, they should show it, because all of the videos tell exactly what happened there.
As I said, we booked you several days ago to talk about the protest outside the facility, and we reached out to GO Group, which owns the facility, and they call your protest a publicity stunt. Now, this was the statement before the arrest. We reached out again, and they said, well, we refer you to ICE, but here's what they said. They call it a politicized campaign by sanctuary city and open borders politicians. You said that ultimately you want the judge to say that they shouldn't have these people in this building. Is this about compliance for you that makes sure that the fire exits are all accessible? Or is this just your best avenue to try to shut that facility, Delaney Hall, down?
First of all, they have to respect the rule of law. And I think they don't respect the rule of law because the president of the United States does not respect the rule of law. That's exactly what's going on here. If a fire inspector comes to the building, anybody has to let them in. They have to inspect it. They need a certificate of occupancy. That's where we began. They don't have one. They have an old one from 20 years ago. Our municipal law says it has to be updated every year. They refuse to follow our laws. They refuse to allow inspectors in. At first, I allowed the inspectors to go there without me. They would not let them in. I began going with them to gain entry. They refused to let us enter. We post the building, and we're in court. We're in court resolving this matter. So when they say we have a certificate of occupancy, that's in question. And the proper authority to resolve that question is a court, right? The court, the rule of law has to do that. They don't do what they want to do and supersede the courts or undermine the courts. And that's exactly what's happening here. And that, more than anything, is really the crux of the issue, not only in Newark, but all over the country, right? We can disagree on immigration policy till we blue in the face. We can argue back and forth, but the Constitution is the Constitution, right? The Bill of Rights is the Bill of Rights. Due process is due process. And the courts and the balance of power is what America stands on, is what separates us from the rest of the world. And they have to follow that. They can't just arbitrarily decide which laws they follow and which laws they don't, which processes they agree with, which ones they don't.
It's rare for a mayor of a city the size of Newark to be outside of a facility with a bullhorn about a certificate of occupancy or violations to local ordinances. And so I ask you, and this was something I wanted to ask even before what happened yesterday, How much of this serves your political interest? If
Uh-oh.
Democrats are looking for a fighter
Wow.
standing outside of a federal facility, you're in a primary for governor of New Jersey a month out. How much of this
he's rounding
is
up.
they got a little bit of the spectacle that they want, you got a little bit of the fight narrative that Democrats want?
Well, the reality is, before this, people in New Jersey know I would have been there anyway. I've been fighting this. This is who I am. Has nothing to do with the season that we're in.
Yes,
Has
it
completely
does.
to do with the residents of our community. The protesters are out there every day. We go out there, we walk past them, we do our job, we leave. I speak to them because they asked me to. Do I want to say something? And I do. I come out there with the fire inspector every morning. I'm out there for 20 minutes at tops, and then I leave. The protesters are there. They have a right to protest. They have the right to do that, and have a right to address them.
What are they
when I see them, right?
protesting?
But I do my job. Which
What
is
are
make
they
sure we get entry.
protesting?
We don't gain entry. We leave. And the purpose of us doing that, frankly, is to, when we get to court, to show and prove that they have denied us entry over and over again, lawful entry to this place. They've denied us, and we want to be able to create a pattern, and we do that every single day and post the building. And those protesters are out there every single day. They was there before I started coming to that building, and they're gonna probably be there, after this thing is said and done. And they have a right to be there.
Okay, what we want to know is can someone in the chat tell me, what are they protesting? What are they protesting? It's the Delaney Hall is ICE facility. What are they protesting?
Going on there on the ground outside of this DHS and ICE detention facility there in Newark. We may
Laughing at
believe
Americans,
that the mayor
okay.
of Newark has been released here. I think he is on the scene. Let's take this. This is a live picture right now. A lot of media. This is what we call a massive gaggle there. Let's raise the audio ever so slightly.
This is crazy.
Okay, so
This
bear
is
with us
like-
here. We just are coming on this scene right now. As you know, the mayor of Newark, New Jersey was arrested as he and kind of handful of
Not for
Democratic
my
lawmakers
rights,
from the
Bass.
state
Hold your tongue.
showed up to this
Time for you to go, dude.
facility known as Delaney Hall, and I believe that is Mayor Ross.
That was
in the baseball
a
cap
question
right there.
for
He seems to
a
have been
rhetorical
released
question for
from
everyone.
custody here. He seems to be speaking right now. Let's listen.
I also want to say the guys from Homeland Security, they treat me pretty well. Not respecting the guys, man. But at the end of the day, we didn't do anything wrong. And, this should not have happened.
Why are you at an ICE facility?
The work that we have to do. I just want to thank our Congress people for coming out.
You have
Congressman Menendez, Congresswoman McIver, for doing the work that they did there, trying to defend me in that place at the same time. God bless them. I don't want nobody else to get out or get hurt or arrested out here while we out here. So I'm gonna ask us all when I leave to clear this place out completely. I want to clear it out, clear the roads out, walk away from here, from this place. Do not stand out here, do not linger out here. Everybody is out here for one reason. We want to make sure that I'm going home.
Yeah, you want to go home after you got arrested.
By God's grace, we'll get to do whatever we need to do.
This is all about votes.
Paul Robeson said the power of our demand is that what we ask for is correct. Yes. We're not asking for anything that's incorrect.
Wants to be governor.
We ask them to obey our laws, to obey the policies and rules here in the city and the state of New Jersey, not to run roughshod over the Constitution of the United States, the Bill of Rights, the 4th, the 5th, the 14th Amendment, and everybody on this soil deserves due process. That's the only thing that we're asking for. We're not asking for anything that's incorrect. I actually didn't come down there to protest. I came down there to support my Congress people. And it's okay. This is a part of what democracy is about. I'm glad everybody came out here for a show of support. I love y'all. I thank you. Please go home to your families and be safe this evening. God bless y'all.
Now he's making news around the country. See, this is probably around the world. This is making news around the country, making a name. This is all about the votes.
Okay, so that was it. That did confirm for us that the mayor of Newark, New Jersey, Ross Baraka, is
Yeah,
now
Mayor
out of custody.
Newark, New Jersey.
You see there, he's been released. He just told that crowd of supporters to go home. That's Bonnie Watson Coleman, a Democratic member of the House from Jersey. Bear with us here as this camera is going to be quite shaky. You heard there Mayor Baraka saying at the end of the day, we didn't do anything
He's
wrong.
crazy,
He said this didn't have to happen today.
These are the worst of the worst. These fools don't want anybody to, not even the worst of the worst. They're crazy.
In Newark, outside of this facility here. And you see, it looks like he's getting back into this black Suburban now. The mayor is running for New Jersey governor. So there's a political context to this story. Wanted to make sure you knew that.
Yeah.
We did get a statement in from the current New Jersey governor.
The current governor, I believe, is Murphy, Governor Murphy. So I guess there's an election going on, or election that's coming up. And this is most definitely a political stunt. I mean, everything that these Democrat leaders are doing is all, it seems like it's all for political gain or for votes. It's always about the votes. Is it actually about the people? You know, what? How is this? They say he's the mayor of Newark, New Jersey. He's trying to become governor. Why isn't he addressing the concerns of his constituents, like housing? What about interest rates? What about the economy, jobs? You know, things that, you know, everyday Americans are complaining about. He's trying to stunt there for votes. For votes. He's talking about he goes there every day. You're there every day? Why are you there every day? This is the government. Why are you there every day? Do you go to the prisons in New Jersey, the Americans that are locked in prisons? Do you visit those prisons every day and you push your way into the facilities? Are you doing this to American prisons? Are you going to those prisons in the state of New Jersey? Are you doing that with the Americans in prison?
Yeah, CJ, you're lost, buddy.
I mean,
someone said that's why I stopped voting after Obama, the first gay president.
he is gay. He's the father of LGBTQ. But I'm like, I'm not following this. They got prisons all throughout the United States, and it's filled with Americans. Why aren't these congressmen and these mayors and people running for governor, why aren't they stunting at the prisons in their state? Why is he at a ICE facility when you got state prisons in your state? How come you're not banging down the door and pushing the door open there? You know, with those convicted criminals. Why aren't you there? Because the detainees, the ones that ICE have, these are supposed to be the worst of the worst. I mean, they committed crimes. That's why they're there. So why don't you go to American prisons and do the same thing? Stop the grounds and try to break into American prisons and say that you want their rights to be heard. You want things done for the prisoners. Why aren't you looking how they being treated? They're being mistreated. You think in our prisons that Americans aren't being mistreated? It's men being raped in prisons every day. How come you're not there fighting for them?
What did they say about Trump? No one's above the law.
Yeah, no one's above the law. That's what they told Trump. So they're not above the law. So that's why you can tell this is just a political stunt. That's all this is. It's a political stunt. This is ridiculous. Put it up way too high. So now I can't do the volume.
To my point, look like they're going to do some type of impromptu march here in solidarity.
Yeah, now they're going to march solidarity.
The cause that they're advocating
This is
which
just,
is
it doesn't make sense when we have problems
facilitation
in our
and
communities.
operation of this detention facility in their community, of which Mayor Baraka has cited
Now
that
you had
he
Clinton.
believes there are building permit issues to this.
These people are full of crap. They full of crap. You had President Clinton deported 12.5 million illegal immigrants. 12.5, zero protests, zero mayors stomping the ground, nobody stunting, nobody saying due process, and especially people that they know have been convicted of crimes. And then you had President Bush, 10.3 million people deported, zero injunctions. Nobody said anything. Then you have Barack Obama. They said he deported more than any other president in history. And he had zero injunctions. You had Trump. He deported what, 100,000? Over like maybe 100,000, 150,000? And they're here? Well, why don't they go to the American prisons and stomp the ground for since you American citizens then that are in prisons? Since you want to stomp the ground, because this is all about votes. It's always about votes. That mayor, Baraka'S, he's running for governor of New Jersey, and it's always about votes.
So bear with us
Cindy,
here
you have to
as
stop
our
having comments that you aren't
Everyone
alone. You have so
steadies
many
itself
people
and
who
positions
have your
itself
back.
to get kind of
Thank
the
you
best
so
vantage
much.
point of
I
what's shaping up to
appreciate
be kind of,
you.
like I said, this impromptu march
What did
there
he say?
outside the facility known
Paul,
as Delaney
Bruno,
Hall.
thank you. Hey, Outlaw. The
Okay, so viewer discretion is advised. You
Oh,
see
we
that they
love
have
you.
law enforcement
Who's
on their
that,
side
Yen?
walking with them to make sure everything is safe, peaceful, non-tense.
It is tense. The last thing it is
So Delaney
non-tense.
Hall is a 1,000-bed facility along an industrial stretch of Newark Bay. It opened on May 1st, so what, 9 days ago. So this is going to allow the Trump administration,
Pink.
federal agents like at DHS and ICE to expand its capacity to detain undocumented migrants who are not legally in the country. That's why this facility has been opened.
Outlaw.
So this is all playing out in Newark and in federal court. The mayor has taken this to court, litigating against the private company that is running the facility. That private company is GEO Group, a private prison operator. All right, so it does look like we don't have the best shot, but you see there Mayor Baraka walking down the street, his supporters flocking around him. So I wanted to make sure we are showing you some of these scenes here. So according to the Associated Press, this is a gray two-story building next to a county prison operated as a halfway house before an announcement in February from ICE that it and that private company, the GEO Group, reached a $1 billion 15-year deal for a detention center there. So it does look like our photographer put his camera down on the ground to steady himself, reposition himself. In the meantime, though, DHS, well, they are counter-programming all of this today. And they have kind of outlined in a thread on X, in a multi-part post, highlighting some of the people, some of the individuals who are going to be housed at this facility here. I want to put some of this up. DHS says this, that today, as a bus of detainees was entering the security gate of Delaney Hall Detention Center, a group of protesters, including 2 members of U.S. Congress, stormed the gate and broke into the detention facility. The allegations by Newark politicians that Delaney does not have the proper permitting is false, they say. Now, and like I said, kind of a rhetorical, counter-programming, counter-political messaging move here. The federal agency says this: meet who the New Jersey lawmakers are fighting for with the photo you see there. On May 5th, 2025, 4 days ago, Newark arrested Maximo Nunez, a 58-year-old citizen of Dominican Republic. Nunez, they say, has felony arrests for possession of a controlled dangerous substance, obstruct administration of law, aggravated unlicensed driving, assault with a deadly weapon with
Wow.
intent to kill, interfere with custody of children. He will remain in ICE custody pending a removal hearing. So this is according to DHS, one of the individuals at this very facility in Newark. Then they go on to say, worst of the worst. ICE Pittsburgh has arrested 27-year-old Bal Krishna Kerala, a citizen of Bhutan, convicted of sexual assault of a child. Kerala should have never been in this country preying on children, they say. Under POTUS and Secretary Noem, child predators, pedophiles, and murderers will be hunted down and removed from America's communities. So Homeland Security is saying essentially this other individual in this very detention facility. And they go on to highlight and cite several more with their photos. So we wanted to get that in for you as well. But we do have our shot stable yet again. Take a look at this. This is live. So it did seem like Mayor Baraka and his supporters kind of formed this impromptu march on the street there in Newark.
See, it doesn't make any sense. Like, see, everything that they're doing right now, the Democrats, they're not doing anything for their constituents, meaning American people. It's like their whole policy, everything they talk about is exhausting. It only has to do with immigration or transgenders, but nothing about the economy, nothing about inflation, nothing about high costs, nothing about bringing money into the country, nothing about let's create more jobs, nothing about United States citizens. It's like they're fighting this fight like they're not fighting for us. They're fighting for them. They're fighting for them. They know we had open borders. Everybody knows about the open borders. This is not a secret. Everyone knows that Venezuela had emptied out their prisons. It's been told to us over and over and over and over again. Everyone knows that. Everyone knows the numbers. They know it's 15,000 convicted rapists. They know it's 13,000 convicted murderers. They know all that's coming to this country. They have a facility with people that have gone through the due process, that have been criminally founded, that they have committed crimes since they've been in the United States. These are the crimes they commit in the United States. And they want to check out the facilities. They want to do all this. And the facilities, they said, have already been checked out over and over again. They're doing more for them than they need to go to some of the prisons in their states that are housing Americans. Why aren't they there? They're not there because there's no political gain. There's no votes there. You know, so there's no reward in going to prisons with United States citizens in, but they're at ICE facility that have detained people that here in the United States. So that's what I'm not following this. Can you guys? It doesn't make any sense. Thank you. You know, it doesn't make any sense. So you know it's for political gain. Now he's going to be the poster child. The mayor got arrested. This news is nationwide. Every news channel in America is showing this on the news because it's news. So now I never heard of him before. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of him, but I've never heard of him. But now I know who he is. He's the mayor of Newark. Now I know who he is, and he's running for governor because this is what they're doing now to make a name for themselves. And it's just crazy what's going on. And Trump, he like telling them, look, this is what Trump has to say to them that's here.
Ever self-deportation program for illegal aliens. We are making it as easy as possible for illegal aliens to leave America. Any illegal alien can simply show up at that airport and receive a free flight out of our country. We have also launched a phone app called CBP Home. That's CBP Home, where illegals can book a free flight to any foreign country. As long as it's not here, you can go anywhere you want. We're also adding a very important exit bonus for illegals to further incentivize their self-deportation. This deportation bonus will save American taxpayers billions and billions of dollars. What Biden did to this country can never be explained, will never, ever be accepted. Eventually, when the illegals are gone, it will save us trillions of dollars. However, if illegal aliens choose to remain in America, they're remaining illegally and they will face severe consequences. Illegal aliens who stay in America face punishments including significant jail time, enormous financial penalties, confiscation of all property, garnishment of all wages, imprisonment and incarceration, and sudden deportation in a place and manner solely of our discretion. So to all illegal aliens who book your free flight right now, we want you out of America, but if you're really good, we're going to try and help you get back in. Thank you.
Trump, like, I mean, it's like Trump has done a commercial on it. I mean, that our president is something else. But now they're saying that they might do the.
So late yesterday, Stephen Miller, one of the president's top advisors, threatened to suspend the writ of habeas corpus, one of the most dangerous and vile threats yet coming from the administration. Let me break down what that means. First, take a look at what Miller said.
That the privilege of the writ of habeas corpus can be suspended in a time of invasion. So he said it's an option we're actively looking at.
So there's Miller threatening to suspend the writ of habeas corpus. First of all, what is a writ of habeas corpus? Habeas corpus is Latin for provide the body, show the body. And what that means basically is when someone is in custody, you can bring that person before the court. You have a right to go before a court and make the case, I'm not the right person, I shouldn't be incarcerated. You can challenge your unlawful detention. This is a right that is not only enshrined in the Constitution, but goes back to the Magna Carta. For hundreds and hundreds of years, in order to challenge the authority of the king in Britain, you had this right to go before a magistrate. It was considered one of the most important rights enshrined in British law, and it is as well in American law, in our Constitution, and by statute. So there's Miller threatening to suspend it. Now, are you allowed to suspend the writ of habeas corpus? Under what circumstances? This has only happened 4 times in our history, including once during the Civil War. The Constitution has a clause called the suspension clause that allows the suspension of the writ of habeas corpus, but only in cases of rebellion or invasion, and even then, only when it's necessary for the public safety. So several problems with what Miller is saying here. First is he and the president don't have the authority to suspend the writ. That authority is given to Congress, not to the president. But second, there is no rebellion, there is no invasion, and in fact, when courts have considered their renderings, their deportations already, the courts have held there is no invasion from Nicaragua or anywhere else to justify invocation of other laws like the Alien Enemies Act. So they've already lost in court on this issue. That clause doesn't apply. That clause is actually meant to protect people and to provide only narrow circumstances in which the writ can be suspended. But what is most threatening about what Miller has to say, besides its utter lawlessness, is the justification, which is, well, we'll have to see what the courts do. That is, they're threatening this lawless action to take away people's right to go before a magistrate. They're threatening that action if the judges continue to rule against them. This is a message directed at the bench. This was not something that Miller spontaneously said. This was premeditated. It is dangerous, and it will not succeed, but it shows you the lengths they'll go to. But let me show you also the lengths they'll go to, the cruelty they're already going to. Take a look at this footage. If that isn't enough to make you sick, I don't know what is. It is hard to believe this is happening in this country. We've got to fight it. We've got to fight it in the courts. We have to make sure that we mobilize all across the country and make it very clear. This is not who we are. We will insist on our constitutional rights, and we won't treat human beings this way.
Well, you know what? It's like it's so much going on right now, and it's like Trump's been in office, I don't know how many days, what is it, 150 days? I have never seen so much of people still warring against each other at the rate that what's going on right now. It's like we all settled when Biden won the election. People, Republicans or MAGA, they didn't appreciate that. But you didn't see when he won the election, nobody stopped his agendas. Nobody stopped him from deporting, because he deported illegal immigrants. Nobody stopped him from then opening up the borders and allowing over 14 million people. And it looks like an invasion because it was done in 4 years. They were flying them in. They were allowing them to come over the border. 350,000 kids are missing. Nobody talks about that. Nobody talks about the fentanyl that was coming in the country, killing more Americans than anything else. It is just mind-boggling that that's not an issue. It's like these children don't even exist. Nobody is talking about like real concerns. It's like the Democrats is all, I don't know what they're doing, because they're not fighting for Americans. They're not even, they're addressing that, but they're not addressing that's why they didn't win the election, because they were talking about abortion and we were talking about the prices of eggs. They were talking about transgenders and we were talking about keep men out of women's sports. It's like we're talking one thing and they're talking another. And they still they're flying over to other countries to bring back one person out of over 14 million that illegally have entered the country. And if you enter illegally, you broke the law. You broke the law, because we are supposed to follow the law. So it's just amazing when you hear them talk and the things that they're saying. It's like, which laws are we going to follow? It's like, let's pick and choose the law. If the law suits you, you're all for it. But if the law doesn't, then you're against it. And someone had put in the chat, they was talking about he was a little, what?
Diego, I was actually the Republican first and the Trump voter first. I'm just gonna ban you.
Well, what I'm saying is that, like someone mentioned about the little boy, and they said was a MAGA, this lady, whatever the name is, she wasn't worthy of me even knowing her name, but she decided to call a child the N-word, an autistic 5-year-old. I mean, that was so low down and dirty. I mean, evil is, for one thing about it, God he made us the way that we are. And because somebody have a little bit more melanin in their skin, it's like other countries, they don't go by the color of skin. Like if you go to Africa, they're Kenyans. They don't say you're this, you're that. We're Americans. But if she was that ignorant to feel emboldened, for some reason she felt emboldened that she could speak that way. Now, if that parent was out there, had jacked her up like a lot of parents would do, then they would have been wrong. But then what was worse about it, instead of her being corrected about it and saying, look, lady, that's a 5-year-old autistic child. And the thing about it, words do hurt and they are harmful. And that was to make him appear to be beneath her or her child. But see, what goes around comes around, and God is no respecter of person. So what she sows, so shall she reap. And even though it appears that they said she raised all this money for her being so wicked and evil, what's right is right and what's wrong is wrong. I mean, she had no conviction. I mean, you take it too far when you start attacking little kids. Little kids just want to play. That's it. irregardless whether he was autistic or not. A 5-year-old, you're gonna go after a 5-year-old, and people are gonna support. That just shows. Then, and it's not just MAGA. They like, oh, MAGA. They sent, they donated all this money to her. It probably was Democrats too, because it's racism on both sides. It's racism on both sides. And it's not like black people that aren't racist towards white people, or racism goes on both ways and both sides. And that's why you got to have the blood of Jesus, because we living in the last days, and people wouldn't, to stoop that low, that just show how ignorant she is. And the people that sent her money, is no justification for that. Why would you justify that? What happens when her child gets older and he's being fed this information, and somebody do something to her child because of what their child is being taught? You got to teach kids hate, and they learn it from their parents. Black people, white people, indigenous, Asians, Hispanic, we all still have to get along and learn how to. And it's great having different ethnicities, because it would be a boring world if we were all the same. It would be boring. So I don't agree. I would never agree with someone being racist like that, and especially like adults. We can handle it, but when you attacking children, that's how weak you are. That you got to attack a child. Say that to an adult, because then they can address you. You can't have a 5-year-old trying to defend themselves, an autistic 5-year-old. That's just blatantly wrong.
Yeah, I keep seeing people in the chat saying
What?
that their new thing that the Democrats are saying that, oh, well, Trump's in office, so why are you still blaming Biden?
Biden called, what Biden has done is going to plague this country for the next 4 years. Trump has 4 years, and he's not wasting any time. It's so much to clean up. This country is in shambles. We are broke with $36 trillion in debt. We can't afford the illegal immigrants here. It's unsustainable. We don't have money to continue to house 14 million homeless people, and they're not helping our economy. We're paying for them to be here. That's our taxpayer. This is what we went. There was a sign today, like they're trying to raise money to feed vets. But we give all this money to people that have not sown into this country, like gave their life for this country, fought for this country.
President Trump signed a flurry of executive orders. One of them has a special emphasis on LA and its massive homeless vets population. If you've ever driven along San Vicente Boulevard in West LA,
doing nothing about getting us out of the hole. Biden gave us $7 trillion more dollars in debt.
Near the VA center.
So far, what I've seen, that's great. That's what we've been trying to get done for years on this campus. And veterans as a whole have been fighting this situation for decades.
That's how they live.
Built on the West LA VA
should have took care of them first before they opened up the border.
Was busy this Friday in the Oval Office, signing a number of bills, including an executive order establishing the National Center for Homeless Veterans. The center would be headquartered at the VA Center in West LA. Los Angeles has the highest number of homeless vets in the entire country, with estimates of 4,000 unhoused. Rob Reynolds has been an outspoken Iraq War vet, and he underscores the urgent
should have took care of the vets before they opened up the damn borders.
They've been working for years to get more veterans on that campus. That's what we want to see, to immediately get some temporary housing put on the property, get our homeless veterans off the street, and stop this madness once and for all, because there's absolutely no reason that men and women who serve this country and were deployed to combat zones should be sleeping and dying on the streets. The whole idea here is that you help veterans come in off the street, you help them deal with whatever mental health issues they have going on, disabilities, substance abuse, and get them housed and have programs to help people get back to work.
And tonight, a Democratic member of Congress tells me that they are taking a look at the executive order. They're not sure if shifting the funds from one area to another violates the Constitution. That's because Congress,
take it from the legal immigrants. They're trying to give it to the vets.
Tonight we're learning more details about the man accused of a brutal murder at a Valley Village apartment building.
It makes no sense. was he? It makes no sense. They're trying to redirect some of the money to go to the vets. You see the vets are living on the streets in tents. They got their flags on tents. Why didn't they take care of the vets before opening up the border? Why didn't they get the vets off the street? Why didn't they house the vets? It doesn't make any sense how they are living. And the Democrats want to, I guess, stop Trump from even transferring money that would benefit the vets that are right now going to the illegal immigrants. So we're going to put them over the vets. It's sanity. To move funds, he's moving funds from the migrants to the homeless veterans. How many people are in agreement with that? How many people are in agreement with Trump moving funds from migrants to homeless vets? I mean, they deserve that. The vets deserve that. They deserve that. And you know why they're suffering from from PSTD and everything else is because of the fact of what they went through fighting for this country. And they need help. They need mental help. They need emotional help. They need spiritual help. They need physical help. They need help. And you see them, they living on tents. They living on the streets. Why didn't they? Well, if the Democrats want to do something, they have the audacity. The Democrats are looking at trying to stop them from transferring funds from migrants. And you see to take care of the vets. This stuff is like, and they're not fighting for this. We're the mayor. Why isn't the mayor in Newark? Why isn't he fighting for something like that? Why isn't he fighting for that? You know, you got to take care of home first. You got to take care of America, American citizens. We put them in office to take care of our concerns. We the people. That's why they are in office. And they're not doing their job. That's what I have a problem with them. We help the world. That's why we're $36 trillion in debt. Biden costs us $7 trillion more of debt. Trump, since he's been in office, he's bringing money into the country. That's why the tariffs and that's why they're working these deals. Biden them costs more debt. And then they're going on top of $7 trillion. Then you're going to bring in at least 14 million homeless people that need health care. You know how much it is for health care? They're on our Social Security, our education system, our housing. They're getting luxury apartments and our vets are living on the streets in tents. I can't see how you can be an American and don't have a problem with this. If you're well off, but you should be concerned about your fellow American that fought for this country. It doesn't make any sense. You know, these people, this mayor, he just trying to do what he's doing because he's trying to get elected. It's about votes, and that's what it's about. Don't fool yourself. It's about votes. That's what it's all about. It's about votes.
President Trump kicking off.
In Washington. The activity level is off the charts. The president dialed in. He is executing his agenda at a lightning fast pace. Here's something we rarely see in American politics. President Trump is actually keeping his campaign promises, and he's doing them as quickly as possible. This administration is moving at political light speed, and they're just getting started.
We're going to have one shot at this, and no other president's going to do what I'm doing. Goodbye. We love you. We will be back in some form. Have a good life. We will see you soon. Thank you. Thank you.
It's official. Former President Donald Trump will be running for president again in 2024.
Donald Trump got the stamina and the will to do this again. He come up with some tremendous.
Everything is on the line in this
this election. A busy day in the campaign world up in Butler today. Former President Trump holding a rally at 5 o'clock.
They just tried to kill President Trump.
Not even an assassin's bullet could stop him.
Feels like the climax of a superhero movie. The first act, up 2016. The second act, 2020. The third act, he almost dies. And then what happens?
Donald Trump will become the
Like Star Wars.
President of the United States.
Rare in American politics, a presidential seat need.
Believes he has a quote mandate to bring common sense back to the country.
It's our time to take up the righteous cause of American liberty and begin the most thrilling days in the history of our country. This will be our greatest year. With God's help, over the next 4 years, we are going to lead this nation even higher, and we are going to forge the freest, most advanced, most dynamic, and most dominant civilization ever to exist on the face of this earth.
He has the opportunity to reset everything around the world.
Under President Trump's leadership, the message to America's enemies is loud and clear. Peace through strength is back.
No amount of hysteria, no amount of fear-mongering is going to shake the president's resolve.
This is the wholesale destruction of the liberal state. He is gutting liberal Washington, D.C. in a way that they say could be permanent.
47 means business. The White House is holding all the cards.
I return to the presidency confident and optimistic that we are at the start of a thrilling new era of national success.
The bottom line is whether you like Trump or you don't like him, you can't say that he's coming and not try to deliver, and he's doing so in historic fashion.
The tide of change is sweeping the country. Sunlight is pouring over the entire world, and America has the chance to seize this opportunity like never before.
USA. That was, yeah, he has a phenomenal team. That was impressive. And, you know, you should be proud to have a president that's fighting for you and want the best for this country. And I think that we have gotten away from it, that we help the world, we help everyone, you know, but not helping the citizens that are here. And I think that's the biggest issue. Like, if we weren't $36 trillion in debt, and the Democrats, only thing that they've been doing is adding to the debt. And so the result of that is going to be that it's all going to collapse because it's unsustainable. We can't, like Trump said, it's going to be it would cost us trillions of dollars eventually for what's going on. Because they're not bringing money into our economy. We need more housing. We need more of everything. More of everything. And we're not even taking care of the people that are here. We're not taking care of the citizens that are here. And that's why we came up with American First. And that's why we're going to have American First celebration. Just like they've been out there with their hands out on protests and rallies. And they've been out there with the 50-51 rallies. And like, they're not speaking for us. They're not speaking for all of America, because America voted. And America voted because we got tired of what's going on. You know, they've been stealing. Elon is his own problem. There's good things he's done, and there's some other stuff he's done that I'm not in agreement with, that I will be talking about. Because there's some other shady stuff that's going on with Elon. But one thing he did find out, that the good, bad, and the ugly. But one thing he has done that's good is that all the waste that's going on, you know, finding out that there's millions of people collecting Social Security, and people that have voted in our elections that shouldn't have voted. They're not supposed to choose our president. You know, all the stuff that's going on right now, that he's finding out all the monies that's been spent, and they just giving money. You get $1 billion, you get $1 trillion. We got 2 wars from the Democrats, and they've been saying the same thing for over 50, 60 years, especially for the Black community, and nothing has changed. They're not doing anything, especially for my community. That's why we got to get off of that Democrat plantation and allow them to earn our votes. You know, give us some policies. At least Trump has policies. What do the Democrats have? They don't have any policies They don't have any focus, no future. They don't have anything that they have done for that they can say they've done for the American people. They don't have a leader. They offer only thing that they talk about is Trump. And he's the only one working. It's like they're not even working. All they do is throw out a whole lot of fluff instead of getting things done. You will hear less from the American people if they were actually working for us, but they're not. They're not working for us. They work for everyone except for Americans. They work for everyone except for Americans. Their agenda is not American citizens. That they show every time they open up their mouths, it's not about us. It's not about what's best for us. They wanted us for election. They were in power. This is an example. They couldn't even run on what they've done for Americans for the last 4 years because they destroyed this country. Instead of them running on economy, how they ended 2 wars that they started, how, all this stuff, they ran on abortion. Who runs on abortion? And people sucked it up. Abortion. And people crying about that they don't want men and women sports, they don't want men and women bathrooms, they don't want all this transgender thing, they want you mutilating children. The prices, inflation is high, jobs are shortage, housing is shortages, inflation, and all these things, the 2 wars that we're paying for, they didn't address any of that. And they still don't address it. All they do is just Trump is the boogeyman. He's the bad guy, and just focus on him. And Trump is just moving forward, continuing his agenda. He got to fight them, and he got to fight the judges. He got to fight the mayors. Everybody's doing this all for political gain. Those district judges, they get appointed. They don't run for office. They want their positions. Everybody is all about the Benjamins and votes. It's not even about the illegal immigrants. It's not about the American people. It's about votes and money. So it's about power and money. Always about power and money. They're not even focused, and it's a shame that they have the people out there, and look at the people out there getting arrested. They're out there getting arrested. Why are you trying to even push your way into a ICE detention center when you can just, you have political status that you can be invited to come in. You can get an invitation. You're the mayor of the city. But no, you want a grandstand, and now you made the news, and now everyone around the country knows who you are. The people in New Jersey, they didn't know who you were. Now they say, when they go to the poll, they say, oh yeah, I remember him. He was there doing this and that. And this is how they're trying to get their votes. It's all about votes. It's all about votes. Do you hear Democrats ever talk about victims? Do they ever talk about the victims? Ever talk about the victims? They're fighting again in these facilities, but when have they talked about the victims? When do they ever talk about the victims? They got all these victims. They got a long list of victims. They never talk about the victims of these crimes. All they talk about is the illegal aliens, and that's it. They used to talk about abortion. Now it's just illegal aliens. That's it.
Joe Biden couldn't even get her name right.
Yeah, they never talk. None of them. Jasmine Crockett, AOC, Schumer, Nancy Pelosi, Kamala, Biden, Hakeem Jeffries. No one talks about the victims. Cory Booker, the list goes on and on and on. Van Hollen, he had 2 people brutally murdered in his his state of Maryland, and he flew over to El Salvador for Garcia. Kilmar Garcia. But you had constituents that right in your state, the young lady was brutally murdered, head bashed 25 times, raped repeatedly, thrown to the ground, then choked to death, and never even extended anything to the family. I don't even know he gave condolences, but you over in El Salvador for Kilmar Garcia. Then another young girl, his state, that she fatally something happened to her as well. He didn't say anything about them. But you're over there in a whole nother country when he's home in his country with his own president. I don't understand. None of the Democrats, just listen, they never talk about the victims. They never talk about the victims, ever. And they all running around like this. Is this what the Democrats want? Because that's who I've been. I'm not in agreement with that. You know, you have to be able to call both sides out. It's not just, that's the only thing about the media. 93% of the media is paint Trump in a negative and, you know, paint the Democrats like, you know, candidates like they're wonderful. 93%. That's why people have so much hate for them. Because the media is powerful. They influence us. I was influenced totally. You couldn't tell me that MSNBC, CNN, and Morning Joe, and Rachel Maddow, and all the news programs, I watched all of them. All of them. They were speaking the gospel truth, and they were one-sided. You know, it's a disservice to the American people when they don't talk about both parties. You have to talk about both parties. No one party is perfect. You have to talk about both. But they exclude the mainstream media, they exclude the Democratic Party because that's who they support. And that's a disservice to the American people. And they don't call him out for anything. And now this man is running around because he's glad he got arrested. Like he said, it's a misdemeanor. So he's going to have to go to court, even though he's the mayor. But he didn't have to do all that. That was just a political stunt. What were you trying to do? You want to go in prisons? We have a lot of prisons in the United States. Go visit the prisons in your state and go in there to see how those American prisoners, how they are being treated. How about that? Why don't you go and see how they're being treated? How their beds are, how they're being kept. Why don't you check on them? After all, they are citizens. Or you're not, see, they're not focused on citizens because that don't give them news. That does nothing for their campaigns. So, because there's many prisons they could visit, see how American prisoners, how they being treated. Doesn't make any sense. And now Trump wants to move to fund, remove fund from migrants and give it to the homeless veterans. I say, oh yeah. Why are the vets on the street? Why are the vets on the street? You know, let people see it again. It doesn't, and they got flags on their tents. They living on the streets and they need care, they need food, they need all this. Why are we gonna open up this country and they're last on the list? All of us should have a problem with that. I have military in my family. You know, we have police in officers in our family.
Flurry of executive orders. One of them has a special
I just want to see this again.
And its massive homeless vets population.
David.
If you've ever driven along San Vicente Boulevard in West LA or some of the nearby side streets, you've seen the dozens of tents housing homeless vets near the VA center.
Thank you, Max.
So far, what I've seen, I mean, that's great. That's what we've been trying to get done for years on this campus. And veterans as a whole have been fighting this situation for decades.
We should be ashamed of ourselves.
West LA VA grounds.
President Trump was busy this Friday in the Oval Office, signing a number of bills, including an executive order establishing the National Center for Homeless Veterans. The CIP would be headquartered at the VA Center in West LA. Los Angeles has the highest number of homeless vets in the entire country, with estimates of 4,000 unhoused. Rob Reynolds has been an outspoken Iraq War vet, and he underscores the urgent need.
I know for myself and others that have been working for years to get more veterans on that campus, that's what we want to see. To immediately get some temporary housing put on the property, get our homeless veterans off the street, and stop this madness once and for all. Because there's absolutely no reason that men and women who served this country and were deployed to combat zones should be sleeping and dying on the streets. The whole idea here is that, you help veterans come in off the street, you help them deal with whatever mental health issues they have going on, disabilities, substance abuse and get them housed and have programs to help people get back to work.
And tonight, a Democratic member of Congress tells me that they are taking a look at the executive order. They're not sure if shifting the funds from one area to another violates the Constitution. That's because Congress, of course, controls the purse strings.
Tonight we're learning more details about the man accused of a brutal murder at a Valley Village apartment building. We first reported last night that 27-year-old Eric Escamilla was arrested at a hospital. Tonight he faces murder and burglary charges. Police say he broke into a 5th-floor apartment through a skylight of a neighboring vacant building and killed 53-year-old Manny Hydra on April 23rd. But despite a 911 call that day...
It's terrible. That's in L.A. But what we have to do, it's a lot going on, but we need our constituents working for us. And I feel as though that before any elected official makes any other additional moves to help anyone, they need to help the vets. Get the homeless vets off the streets. Help them. America first, especially our vets. Get them off the street. They're giving money to migrants while they living in tents. Did y'all see that? They got American flags on tents. They living out on the streets. I mean, you can't say enough about that. And you got these freaking mayors and stuff, and they feel so justified. They're over there like they're doing something admirable. No, you're not. No, you're not. If Trump didn't close those borders, there'd be more missing children, 350,000 so far. Anybody find the kids yet? What about the fentanyl? That stopped a lot of fentanyl coming in. That kills more Americans than anything that was coming in through them open borders. And all these Democrats are trying to do is make a name for themselves. All them trying to be the party leader. That's why they're so outrageous. But see and pay attention. Do they say anything about what they're going to do for Americans? Anything. Anything. You know, as long as they could keep gaslighting us, that we keep our focus on Trump, then they don't have to do anything. Because he's the bad guy, right? Isn't he? Trump is the bad guy, right? He's the bad guy. So as long as we're focused on him, then they don't have to do anything. And that's why things remain the same. They're not working for us. When I cast my vote, I want my elected official to work for me. I want him or her to do something that's going to be beneficial for us. Not these staged protests that's not doing anything for American citizens. That's just wasted taxpayer dollars, more of our money, wasted. They on the clock, and they're not fighting for us. They're not fighting for us. What are they doing? You know, some of these neighborhoods that some of them are in and complain about, people need help. They need food. They need housing. They need to get their electric on, their gas on. They need things. They need healthcare. They need all kinds of things. And this is what they're spending their time doing because they don't care. They don't care about the people. They care about themselves. That's what's really going on. They couldn't care less. Let's see. Do you support Mayor Baraka'S protests against the ICE facilities? 72% say no, and 28% say yes. So the 28%, if any of y'all on here, tell me why you support the mayor. Why do you support the mayor? Why do you support the mayor? You know, I'm quite sure that he has better things to do than to be at ICE detainment facility. Like, why is he there? Why, if he wants to go to prisons, I'm quite sure there are quite a few prisons that are probably in New Jersey. Why don't he go and check on Americans in those prisons? Since this seems to be something that's in his heart that he wants to do. Obviously, he doesn't have anything else better to do. And now they're going to plan a protest. They're going to blow this up. This is all about putting eyes on him.
Newark, New Jersey's Mayor Ross Baraka and his time while in ICE custody last night. He denies being at the demonstration to protest and says he was never told to leave by Homeland Security.
We expect to hear from the mayor later
it's
this morning
political
as
theater.
supporters are
That's what
expected
it
to
is.
rally in support of the mayor this afternoon in Manhattan. Christy Kalishian is live outside of the Delaney Hall detention facility in Newark with more. Christy?
Elaine, Doug, good morning. In just under an hour, the mayor is expected to be hosting a breakfast here in Newark, where we're hoping to hear a little bit more from him. And court documents show that he was charged with trespassing. And the mayor also has garnered a lot of support in these past few hours from those opposed to the facility.
What's happening now in this country, everybody should be scared of.
Newark Mayor Ross Baraka speaking to those outside of Delaney Hall after he was released Friday night, where he was met with supporters. He says he was outside of the ICE detention center not to protest it, but to support members of Congress who were there to tour it. Acting USDA for New Jersey, Alina Haba, posted on social media that the mayor ignored warnings from Homeland Security to remove himself, and that he willingly chose to disregard the law. The mayor, who is also running for New Jersey governor, responding on CNN.
Clearly,
CNN, see? Now he's
I
on
was there
CNN.
for over an hour in that space, and nobody ever told me to move.
He also said he was treated well while he was detained. The facility was met with protesters Friday, as many opposed the facility, including Governor Phil Murphy, who released a statement Friday saying he's outraged over the arrest and referenced a law he signed 4 years ago, making private immigration detention centers illegal in New Jersey.
We're not asking for anything that's incorrect. We're asking to obey our laws, to obey the policies and rules here in the city and the state of New Jersey.
And humiliating and uncomfortable, those are just some of the words Mayor Baraka used to describe what it was like being detained there. But again, he did say he was treated well there. And that breakfast that he's hosting is expected to start at 10 at the Robert Treat Hotel here in Newark. And also his supporters on the other side of the Hudson plan to start a rally at 2 p.m. in Foley Square. Live in Newark, Christy Kalishian, CBS News, New York.
All right, Christy, thanks very much. Meanwhile, a Tufts University doctoral student has been released from a Louisiana detention center. Rumeysa Ozturk was detained by Immigration and Customs Enforcement agents in late March near her home in Massachusetts. The arrest came a year after she co-authored an op-ed in her college newspaper criticizing the university's response to the war in Gaza. Ozturk was not charged with any crime, but was accused by the Trump administration of supporting Hamas.
Columbia University says more than 65 students are now on interim suspension following this week's protests at Columbia University. 33 more have been banned from campus. The punishment comes 2 days after pro-Palestinian demonstrators stormed the main library on campus. The NYPD arrested dozens, most of whom were issued desk appearance tickets for criminal mischief.
Well, anyway, you guys, we're going to get ready to jump off. We just came on here a little bit. I just find it ironic. I'm tired of hearing these people talking about Democrats, talking about, they want to protest. And I don't think can you hear us now? They still can't hear us. It's like our concerns aren't their concerns. It's like you never hear them talking about what they're going to do for their constituents, what they're going to do for American citizens. What are they trying to do to make our lives better? Why, you have to work along with whomever's in office. Why aren't you working along with the president? You got to work along with the president. This, it's called, you have to have communication so you can agree to disagree. Then you could come together, but you're still supposed to be looking out for the welfare of the people. At the end of the day, they're supposed to remove their personal feelings, and they're supposed to be thinking about the people that put them into office. And their way now is they're fighting for something that we're not asking them to fight for. We're asking them to fight for our vets, fight for our homeless, fight for interest rates, bring more jobs, create more jobs, support Trump in creating jobs, bringing money into this country. How about spending some of that energy supporting? and the things we disagree with, then fine. That's how it's supposed to be. No one agrees 100%, but they disagree with everything. 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 No matter what he does, there's a disagreement. And now this mayor, no one heard of. I'm going to get off, but this guy is making his rounds. This is on CNN.
Particularly in places
See,
where
now
I think
he's famous.
our laws are being violated.
In a statement, Homeland Security Assistant Secretary Tricia McLaughlin wrote, members of Congress storming into a detention facility goes beyond a bizarre political stunt and puts the safety of our law enforcement agents and detainees at risk. Members of Congress are not above the law and cannot illegally break into detention facilities. Just keep that language in mind for a second. Storming and breaking into. I'm going to address that in just a moment. Notably, the DHS statement doesn't even say anything.
And this
about
is
MSNBC. His
MSNBC.
arrest.
See, we're
Or
equal
that he says he and
opportunists.
members of Congress were standing outside the facility's gates at the time of his arrest. This incident, like the arrest of a Wisconsin judge last month, is not about one person's arrest. It's about what's happening to people who are seen as standing in the way of Donald Trump's deportation program. It's a flashing red light of what could lie ahead. Joining me now to give us more clarity on what happened is the Democratic Congresswoman Bonnie Watson-Bowman of New Jersey. Congresswoman, great to see you. Thank you for being with us.
They're all famous.
I thank you so much for giving us the opportunity to have this discussion. It's so vitally important that the people in this country know what's really happening and know it from people who are actually being affected by it and see it.
So let's talk about this. The Homeland Security Assistant Secretary, Tricia McLaughlin, characterized the actions by you and your colleague yesterday as, quote, storming the facility and breaking into, storming and breaking into. Now, look, the average person listening to this would probably say, you
don't forget to hit the like, share, and subscribe.
Break into anything. So tell me your response to what she said.
We arrived at the facility, the three of us, the three members of Congress, around 1 o'clock, introduced ourselves to the person who was at the gate, told him why we were there, told him under the law we had the right to conduct an oversight visit, and that's what we were doing. He talked back and forth to people. No one said anything to us. They wouldn't give us any information. Finally, after pressuring him, they brought some other officials out. We told them who we were and why we were there and that we had the right to be there. They opened the gates and let a car out. So we walked into the gate.
No. They didn't open it for you.
And again, identified who we were and why we were there. And they said, we're trespassing. And I said, absolutely not. We're federal elected officials that have the legal authority to conduct an on-site oversight in tour. And that's what we're here for. So after a while, some more ICE officials
They
came
didn't let
around.
you in. They
We
let
went
a
up
car
into
out.
a facility which is like a holding area, and spent time with the individual who operates as a warden, although he's called something else, who was very nice to us. And we kept explaining to him why we were there. We asked him to call whatever officials he needed to call to get us access to do the tour. So.
Oh my God. That just goes on and on. See, that's MSNBC, but I'm ready to jump on because I got an engagement tomorrow. It's Mother's Day. And I got a brunch to go to that, of course, my children will take me to, my son. And live entertainment. It's going to be really nice. So it's going to be really nice. So anyway, I want to say happy Mother's Day to everyone. We just wanted to bring this on, because it's just really getting out of hand. But I think that people really need to be honest and really take a look at what's really going on and recognize gaslighting, recognize political stunts, recognize that they're not fighting for us. They're fighting for themselves. It's all about the Benjamins. It's all about votes. And that's the honest to God truth. That's the truth. And this is called Speak the Truth 2.0 for a reason. God bless you guys. It's almost 12 and, we're tired. Had a long day, but I just hope you enjoy your Sunday. Those who are going to church, pray that all is well. And, you're going to hear some good word tomorrow. And happy Mother's Day to all the mothers, because, mothers are so important. You need the mother, You know, she does so much for the family. It's like the mother is like the glue to keep the family together. So anyway, everybody, you need to, you know, thank God for your mother and everything that she's done for you and continue to do for you. And those who aren't even your mother, people who have, you know, that have, you know, stood up for you, have taken a place in your life as a mother figure or whatever, someone you can go to, someone that has mentored you and cares about you, you know, and love you. So anyway, God bless all of you. Thank you, Outlaw. We love you. And I know you said Fish Guru. I'm unfamiliar with them. They come back on, and I see that they're on because I wasn't really watching like any, you know, what they were saying. So anyway, thank you guys. God bless everyone on here, and don't forget to hit the like, share, and subscribe button, and the notification bell so that when we pop on, like we just popped on tonight, that you'll get notified. And we'll see you the next time. And we're praying for all of you. And I am starting a new channel. I do have it. I haven't worked on it. I'm still trying to work on this, but it's called Let's Pray About It. And we got to pray about these things. You know, you don't have to fight everybody, argue with everyone. God is still in control and he's sitting on the throne. And Trump is in office because God put him there. God ordained. God, he's the one that, you know, that put people in their positions, and he the one that could take them down. So anyway, you guys enjoy the rest of your night. I know some people are from different parts of the world. God bless you. I hope all is well. Your family is doing well. I just hope everything, you know, continue to you know, everyone continue to love on each other and, you know, support one another. You know, this is not about beating everybody down. It's about supporting one another and holding each other up and holding those accountable, you know, especially the people that's supposed to be working for us. And that's what these elected officials are. They're supposed to be working for us. So anyway, you guys, God bless. Don't forget to hit the notification bell. And we will see you guys the next time. See you.